Hello children, welcome to AIMS India's online classes. This is biology session. Coordination, the linking system. In the last class we have studied about the structure of neuron and the types of neurons. The nerves, neurons. What is the difference between a nerve and a neuron? A neuron is considered as the structural and functional unit of nervous system. Okay, the part of neuron, that is axons, combine together to form a nerves. Okay, so the unit of nervous system is neuron. What are the parts we have studied in the neuron? Cell body, axon, dendrites, myelin sheath, nodes of Ranvier, and nerve terminals, isn't it? Okay, if you take a neuron consists of, if a neuron is like this, then it is a multipolar neuron which possesses several branches. So it possesses the branched projections. This is the cyton. Cyton is the functional part of the neuron which controls all the functions. Then from this cyton or cell body, or it is also called perikaryon, several projections. These are called, branched projections are called dendrites, and unbranched projection, which is straight single, that is called axon. Okay, so this axon is covered by means of a sheath made of fatty substance, that is called a myelin sheath. Okay, so cell body or cyton controls the metabolism of the nerve cell, and dendrites, they collect the information from other cells, and axon is a long fiber which carries information from cell body or sometimes over long distances. Okay, so this myelin sheath possesses some gaps. These gaps are called Ranvier nodes. Ranvier nodes means, so these are gaps. They allow the rapid conduction of nerve impulses by forcing them to jump from one node to the next. Okay, let us study more. And we also studied the reflex action. Okay, about the types of neurons: sensory neurons, motor neurons, and associated neurons also we have studied in the last class. After that we come across the reflex action. So let us continue the reflex arc. You might have experienced what happens when you do things consciously, and otherwise what happens, it may lead to some accidents. For example, say when you are performing an action such as running upstairs, if you start to think about where your feet are going, you often stumble. If you just think about the where your feet, you are keeping the feet. Okay, so the interesting thing is that the same effectors in the leg muscles can be made to perform very special movement under the control of conscious mind. For example, you are playing a football. At the time, the muscles of the leg operate both by reflexes and voluntarily. A reflex action is an involuntary action, but voluntary action involves the brain. Reflex action does not involve any brain. Okay, any part of the brain is not involved in the reflex actions. So reflex actions are the study and sudden immediate actions which involve the participation of spinal cord. Okay, so here in the image given here, the spinal cord. So the structural and functional unit which carry out reflex actions is called a reflex arc. So this reflex arc include a sensory nerve, a motor nerve, an effector, and an associated neuron. Associated neuron is nothing but a spinal cord. Okay. So most actions of our body are actually controlled together by voluntary and involuntary pathways. Okay. Not only the voluntary pathways, even sometimes we are protected by involuntary pathways also. Not sometimes, every time. From birth to death, some involuntary actions continue. Okay. Think any of the actions and try to make the sketch of reflex arc. So here one example is given. You can see it is a reflex arc. So a hot object is kept here. When you're trying to touch it, okay, the pain receptors which are present on the finger, okay, sensory neuron carries that information to the associated neuron or spinal cord, where the response is generated, and again efferent neuron or motor neuron carries that information to the hand, and we immediately withdraw our hand. Okay, the voluntary and involuntary actions in our body are controlled by nervous system. Okay, they are under control of a nervous system. We may study our nervous system on the basis of areas from which nerves originate and then spread out to the whole body as mainly two divisions. One is central nervous system and the other one is peripheral nervous system. The central nervous system is a part of nervous system. It coordinates all neuronal functions. Okay, in vertebrates it contains in vertebrates mainly it consists of brain and spinal cord. Okay, so let us study the central nervous system, which include brain and spinal cord. This is the brain. Central nervous system coordinates all neuronal functions. If you see the brain size, the proportionate to the body size, the human brain is the largest in all animals, and it is the most developed. Okay, the brain is present in the hard bony box. It is called a cranium. Cranium. It is also called the skull. Cranium. It is covered by three layers called meninges. The brain is covered by internally. Externally it is protected by bony box called cranium. Internally it is protected by meninges, three layers. Okay, the meninges are continuous and cover the even spinal cord as well. Okay, the meninges which are continuous with the spinal cord consisting of three layers. The outer layer is called dura mater, outer dura mater, middle arachnoid membrane, and inner pia mater. Inner pia mater. The space between the inner two layers is filled with cerebrospinal fluid. The space between the two inner layer is filled with cerebrospinal fluid, which acts or which serves as a shock absorber and protect the brain against the jerks and jolts. And this fluid also supplies the cerebrospinal fluid, CSF. It also supplies the nutrients and cerebrospinal fluid. It also supplies nutrients and respiratory gases and also removes the waste materials also. Okay. The cells of the anterior and posterior choroid plexuses, anterior and posterior choroid plexuses in the roof of the brain secrete this cerebrospinal fluid. Okay. The name indicating cerebrospinal means between the brain and spinal cord this fluid will flows. Okay, between which layers? The inner layers of the brain, innermost layers, the pia mater and arachnoid membrane. The space is filled with a cavity. That cavity is filled with a fluid called cerebrospinal fluid. Okay, which acts as a shock absorber and protects the brain from shocks and jerks, along with the meninges and cranium. This CSF also protects the brain. Mainly the nerves. Okay, there are two layers are present on the brain. They are the nerve cell bodies together with the capillaries, blood capillaries, form a mass called gray matter. Okay, the gray matter includes the cell bodies of neurons, while the myelinated axons are those covered by fatty sheaths from they form the white matter. So outer gray matter and inner white matter. Okay, especially the part of brain that is cerebrum, the forebrain. It is called the largest part of the brain, forebrain. It possesses outer gray matter and inner white matter. Okay, the brain weighs approximately 1400 grams and it has divisions. What are the divisions of brain? Forebrain, midbrain and hindbrain. The forebrain consisting of two parts, that is cerebrum and diencephalon. Cerebrum and diencephalon. The midbrain. Okay, this midbrain connects the forebrain and hindbrain. The hindbrain consisting of cerebellum, pons varolii and medulla oblongata. So this is the hindbrain region. It is cerebellum, okay, pons varolii and the medulla oblongata, which extends as spinal cord. The medulla oblongata itself extends as spinal cord into the vertebral column. Okay, so though the brain comprises only little compared to the entire weight, okay, more than 2% of the body weight, although the brain comprises little more than 2% of the body weights, it uses 20% of the whole body energy. Okay, that means the out of the 100% of the glucose, 20% of the glucose is utilized by brain itself, and 20% of oxygen is also utilized by the brain only. Okay, so now the gray matter is usually present on the periphery, means outer gray matter, and the white matter is present towards the center, means inner white matter. This is mainly due to the fact that there is a small area from where these myelinated axons leave the brain. Okay, that's why inner white matter, outer gray matter. Okay, these are the meninges. Meninges means outer dura mater, middle arachnoid membrane and inner pia mater, together called meninges. Okay, there is a fluid flow that is called CSF, cerebrospinal fluid. The functions of various parts of brain. It is most important to know the functions of the brain. At the same time, let us study the structure also. Cerebellum. The first part that is the cerebrum. Okay, as I told you, the brain is divided into forebrain, midbrain, hindbrain. Forebrain is called cerebrum. It is the largest part of the brain. It is divided into two hemispheres, right and left cerebral hemispheres. They are called cerebral hemispheres. These are connected together by a sheet of nerve fibers that is called corpus callosum. Corpus callosum. The wall of the cerebrum has two regions. Outer region is called the cortex, and it contains the bodies of the neurons, that is grayish in color. That's why the outer part of the cerebrum is called as gray matter. Okay, and inner part of the cerebrum is called as white matter due to the presence of myelinated neurons. Okay, myelinated axons. The cerebrum is the seat of, now come to the function. Cerebrum is the seat of intelligence, consciousness, thinking, reasoning, perception, and stimulus interpretation. Stimulus interpretation. It has both sensory and motor centers. The different sensory centers are also present. What are the different sensory centers present on the cerebrum? They are sight or vision, reading, hearing or auditory center, smell or olfactory center, taste or gustatory center, pain and pressure. Okay, these are all the centers which are present on the cerebrum. So that's why it is called as a seat of intelligence and thinking. Okay. So, and it has a great power of even recall. Okay. So there are also the silent areas which are concerned with the intellect, memory, imagination, foresight, emotions and moods. Okay, the left side of the brain controls the right-handedness, spoken and written languages, numerical and scientific skills and reasoning. But while the right side controls left-handedness, musical and artistic awareness, insight and imagination. Okay, cerebrum is the storehouse of past experiences which may be recalled during dreams or hypnotization. Whatever the information is there from your childhood to up to now, okay, so all those informations will be stored in your cerebrum. Okay, children. So during hypnotization, what is hypnotization? Taking you to the trance stage where you can recall all your childhood memories also. Okay. The next part that is the diencephalon. Diencephalon lies concealed by the cerebrum. The diencephalon is distinguishable in two parts, that is the thalamus and hypothalamus. So here beneath the cerebrum, this region is called the diencephalon region. Okay. The thalamus is concerned with relaying sensory impulses except those of smell and regulation of both, especially the smell and regulation of smooth muscles activity, and hypothalamus coordinates the various autonomic activities of the body including water balance, control of pituitary, regulation of heat or body temperature, blood pressure. Diencephalon has a cavity called the third ventricle. So there is a brain cavity, we are calling it as the third ventricle present in the diencephalon region. Okay, and the roof of the diencephalon possesses an anterior choroid plexus. It possesses an anterior choroid plexus. So this will form the cerebrospinal fluid. The interior surface of the diencephalon bears optic chiasmata and pituitary. Pituitary is attached to the hypothalamus region only. Okay, it is a relay station A relay center for sensory impulses such as pain, temperature, and light. Then reflex center for muscular activities. Center for certain emotions such as anger. Center for water balance, blood pressure, body temperature, sleep, hunger. See how many functions. Hypothalamus controls the pituitary gland, which functions as a master gland. Okay, that master gland secretions also depends upon the secretion of hypothalamus. Okay. Next part of the brain, the midbrain, it relays the motor impulses from the cerebral cortex, means here cerebral hemisphere, cerebral cortex, to the spinal cord, and relays sensory impulses from the spinal cord to the thalamus. Or we can say midbrain connects the forebrain to hindbrain. Okay. The reflexes for the sight and hearing are present in the midbrain. Then cerebellum. Cerebellum is another part. It is also called the small brain, and it maintains the posture equilibrium. It maintains the posture and equilibrium. Cerebellum is a very well developed and lies below the cerebrum and above the medulla. It consists of three parts, and that is pons varolii is a bridge of nerve fibers connecting the two lobes of cerebellum. There are two lobes, cerebellum also. Just like brain, cerebellum also possesses outer grey matter, inner white matter. Okay. The main function of cerebellum is maintains posture, equilibrium, and muscle tone, and it coordinates the voluntary movements initiated by cerebrum. Okay. For example, balance and equilibrium. When a person drunk or consume alcohol, it affects the coordination of hands, eyes, and limbs. A drunken driver does not have complete control over the vehicle because under the influence of alcohol, cerebellum cannot coordinate the muscle movements. Okay, that's the reason why the accidents occur. Next, medulla oblongata. Medulla oblongata is the lower part of the brain located at the base of the skull. It is a conical in outline and continues below with the spinal cord. It has white matter opposite of the brain, and that is cerebrum and cerebellum. Okay, so it has outer white matter and inner grey matter. Okay, the next, the roof of the medulla oblongata contains a choroid plexus where cerebrospinal fluid is formed. The posterior medulla controls the activities of internal organs. It has reflex centers such as cardiac center, respiratory center, and vasomotor centers. Vasomotor centers means, okay, it contains centers of cardiac, means related to heart, respiratory, and vasomotor activities means vasomotor refers to the actions upon a blood vessel which alter its diameter. Okay, dilation of blood vessels, and it coordinates the reflexes like swallowing at the time of food. When you swallowing, cough, sneezing, vomiting, they are all reflexes. Okay, naturally occur. So in order to study the brain function, generally the doctors will suggest to take EEG, that is electroencephalogram. Electroencephalogram. So this records the waves of the brain, the electrical waves produced in the nerve cells of brain are amplified and recorded on a paper through the instrument. What is that instrument? Electroencephalogram instrument. Okay. Next, spinal cord. The spinal cord extends from the medulla to lumbar region, bottom, through the neural canal of the vertebral column. Spinal cord extends from the back of the hindbrain that is medulla oblongata, to the back of the stomach or lumbar region through the neural canal of the vertebral column. Okay, here. So it will extend like this. So this is the neural canal. It is almost cylindrical in shape. Unlike the brain, the white matter is towards periphery, means outer white matter, while grey matter is towards the center, inner grey matter. Okay, center of the spinal cord. The myelinated axons leave the spinal cord from both sides of the vertebral column. See here. The myelinated axons leave the vertebral column from both sides, dorsal and ventral. The role of spinal cord in nervous control was studied largely by the experimentalists of 16th and 17th century. Okay, they found that the Greeks' concept of control by the brain was erroneous. Okay, so they conducted experiments on animals. So animals were shown to have the ability to respond to stimuli even when the brain was removed. Okay, they conducted experiments on a frog. They removed the brain. Okay, but even then, after removal of brain also, that frog is alive and shows the response to the stimuli. Okay, later what they have done, they removed the spinal cord also. Okay, once the spinal cord is removed, the animal died. Okay, so here the scientist Leonardo da Vinci belongs 1452 1519, and Stephen Hales 16th century, the 1677 to 1771, in between the period, both recorded the survival frogs those brain had been destroyed. In their experiment, the animal still produced the muscular movements if its skin was pinched or prickled. Both observers further recorded that the animal died as soon as the spinal cord was damaged by pushing a needle down it. Okay, such evidence suggested that the spinal cord was not simply a trunk road for instructions from the brain, but might be a control center in its own right. Okay, the previous opinions were only the brain control all the functions, but by these experiments, even spinal cord also controls some functions. The scientists have been able to trace out the nerves that originate from the brain, called cranial nerves, and those that originate from spinal cord are called spinal nerves. There are 12 pairs of cranial nerves which arise from the brain, and there are 31 pairs of spinal nerves which arise from spinal cord. Now these nerves can be studied under the peripheral nervous system. Peripheral nervous system. Okay, the major divisions of nervous system are three main divisions. What are they? Central nervous system, which contain or which include brain and spinal cord, and the peripheral nervous system includes the nerves originated from brain and spinal cord, that is cranial nerves and spinal nerves, 43 pairs of nerves. And the third division of nervous system is autonomic nervous system. Autonomic nervous system, which is further divided into sympathetic and parasympathetic, which we will study further videos. Okay, now let us study the peripheral nervous system. The nerves attached to the spinal cord have two types of connections or roots, one to the back or dorsal side and other to the front or the ventral side. Okay, So this peripheral nervous system includes the nerves which carry the impulses to and from the central nervous system. There are two sets of nerves, cranial nerves and spinal nerves. Cranial nerves means the nerves originate from cranium. A human body has 12 pairs of cranial nerves which can be sensory. Okay, among the cranial nerves, sensory nerves are olfactory and optic, which originate from the eye and nose. Okay, motor means these are oculomotor, trochlear, and mixed nerves are also there out of these 12, that is trigeminal facial nerves. We'll study in detail in the higher classes. Then spinal nerves originate from the spinal cord by means of two roots, a dorsal root and a ventral root. Each dorsal root has an ovoid dorsal ganglion. You can see each dorsal root has a ovoid, means round, dorsal ganglion. All the spinal nerves are mixed nerves having both sensory and motor fibers. At the junction of the two roots, the sensory and motor fibers separate out. The sensory fiber continues into the dorsal root, and the motor fiber, this is the sensory nerve, okay, continues into the dorsal root, comes out through the dorsal root, okay, and continue into the ventral root. Both roots enter the gray matter of the spinal cord and end in, okay, they enter into the gray matter, okay, inner gray matter, outer white matter. They enter into the gray matter, and a human body has 31 pairs of spinal nerves, and these are classified in 5 groups, okay, that is thoracic, cervical, thoracic, lumbar, sacral, occipital. Okay, okay, now let us continue the experiment work of two main scientists. Who are they? The experimental works of the two main scientists, that is Charles Bell in Scotland and Francois Magendie in France. Okay, in the early 19th century, they showed that these roots have different functions, dorsal root and ventral root. So here it is clearly mentioned, the dorsal root, ventral root. If the dorsal root of an experimental animal were cut, okay, the animal made no obvious reaction, no reaction. At the same time, if however the ventral root were even lightly touched, the ventral root even lightly touched, the muscles to which the nerve was connected switched violently, means responded violently. Okay, means the ventral root evidently controlled muscular activity, the dorsal root did not. By this experiment, what they came to know, the ventral root controlled muscular activity, but the dorsal root did not. In 1822, they suggested that dorsal root carried messages of sensation inwards, while the ventral pathway carried outwards, information outwards, the instruction for muscular contraction. Okay, so finally we can come to conclusion that a dorsal root, which is sensory root, A dorsal route is a sensory route which sensory nerve pass through the dorsal route, and a ventral route is a motor route where motor nerve pass through it, reach the effector organ. Okay, that's the reason why whenever the information, okay, during the reflex action, okay, it is a unit, reflex arc is a unit which carry the reflex action. Okay, so first the information carried by sensory neuron which are arised from the receptors goes through the dorsal route, okay, and enters the gray matter, inner gray matter, where associated neurons are present. The information is processed and the response is generated, and it is the ventral route through which the motor neuron comes out or carries the response in the form of electrical impulses and pass that information to the effector. So immediate response. Okay, okay children, that is called reflex action. So please read the textbook, children, and clarify the doubts. Thank you for watching our video. Please subscribe our channel and press the bell icon for receiving latest updates.